and please, if you are a Manchester United fan, oh, put down that spoon of shredded wheat, because when you hear what I'm about to tell you, you might feel like jamming the thing in your eye. Listen, right now Manchester United fans are understandably excited, right? You know, a bit like David Cameron watching Peppa Pig, because you're being offered two exciting enough managers, right? Whatever happens, you know you're getting a pretty good manager. I mean, you cannot lose. I mean, this is like sitting on Santa's lap at Morrison's and being told that you're getting a swing set. And then you tug his beard and realise that your parish priest is working a second job and for some reason has milk stains on his pants. But where was I? Oh yes, Erik or Mauricio Pochettino. It's basically the battle of the Champions League semi-final in 2019. One of those two will be the next manager of Manchester United. But considering Man United were sniffing around Poch 4 years ago, his appointment now will probably be a little bit underwhelming, right? I mean, it's been a boring will they won't they saga for so long that honestly, now the mere mention of his name probably causes you to vomit Weetabix in the bath. I mean, honestly, it's been like when Ross and Rachel finally got together at the airport in the goddamn Friends finale. I mean, after 10 seasons of that storyline, you'd sooner have seen them both burst into flames. Poch or Ten Hag, I mean, this feels like some weird X Factor final. We know that one of them is getting their dream ticket and the other one is instead going to be applying for jobs wiping nappies down the local old folks home. But listen to this story which is going to shatter your pelvis.
Steve McCLAREN could be number 2 if Erik is appointed at Manchester United.
Am I reading this right? Please, someone out there, validate my eyes, because it feels like I've just digested a very bad hot dog for breakfast. And maybe my orange juice was spiked with meth. And right now I'm living some transient lucid dream, some dystopian false reality, because this cannot be true. 5 lads trying to close in on 150,000 subscribers. If you're new here, join this journey. You'd be an absolute legend. Slap the big fat red button in the teeth. You absolute legends. Anyway, back into the video. Let me get this straight. In the year 2022, both Steve McCLAREN and Paul McShane could be on Manchester United's payroll. What? I mean, clearly this is the week of the JJ, because we've just seen both Jermaine Genius and JJ Okocha do the World Cup draw. We've just seen JJ Olatunji called out by the Mountain of Game of Thrones. You two have announced they're doing a Netflix series produced by JJ Abrams, you know, the guy who melted our brains with Lost. And now this exclusive is being broken by Jamie Jackson on Twitter. This really is the week of the JJ. Now I'm just waiting for Janet Jackson to announce that she's just been knocked up by the Grinch. I mean, then again, the guy who broke this story, I mean, he's not just a normal journalist with his ear to the ground. He's also an author as well. This is what he wrote.
The Red Apprentice, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the making of Manchester United's great hope.
Oh, this has not aged well. I mean, this is like Hello Magazine now releasing a column where they wrote last month about 10 reasons we love Will Smith.
In this new and definitive biography, Jamie Jackson investigates why he was the perfect man for the job to bring back the glory days.
I'm sorry, no, stop writing now. Oh, this is like picking up the back of a Chris Brown album released in 2007 and reading the bit where it says that
he may be a rapper, but he's also a chivalrous gentleman who knows how to treat a lady.
No. If I was Jamie Jackson, I would be burning copies of that book in a bin outside Asda. But anyway, he has broken the news that the Mac is back. This is ridiculous. Utter wet nonsense. If I twist my brain until it hurts, I might be able to find a couple of morsels why this makes sense, I suppose. I mean, Ten Hag was Steve McClaren's assistant coach when they went and won the league together at 20, I guess. And we can't just ignore that Steve McClaren was Alex Ferguson's number 2 when Man United won the treble. But that was in 1999. That was in another millennium, when he was a youthful, hungry, enthusiastic 38-year-old eager to learn. But now, he's a 60-year-old granddad who's been crushed by the weight of football. I mean, in the past 16 years, he's lost a European final by 4 goals, the only manager to ever do that in the Europa League. He's been sacked by his country after just a year. Sure, he did well in Holland, but his achievements were mostly ignored and he was just laughed at for speaking with a Dutch accent. He was sacked after just 6 months in the Bundesliga, sacked after 10 games at Nottingham Forest. He went back to 20 as a hero and was forced out by his own fans after a year. He was sacked by Derby County after 2 years, sacked by Newcastle after 10 months, sacked by Derby County again after 5 months, again lasted just 5 months as a consultant in Israel, was sacked by QPR after a year, and was recently involved at Derby County as a technical director. Oh, I wouldn't put that one on the CV, big guy. Admitting you were involved in the behind-the-scenes action at Derby County, it's like admitting you were a babysitter for a child who's clearly burned half their face off on the stove. Steve McClaren has absolutely no business being associated with Manchester United. I mean, this fella was once seen as the best English manager in the sport, right? Well, since April 2006, he has won 7 Premier League games. 7 in 16 years. He was a European finalist once. Great. How has he fared in European competition since? I mean, this was his last attempt back in 2012. No wins, finishing bottom of the group behind Helsingborg. Man United lazily appointing a man who did a decent job in the 90s. I'm sorry, what sort of logic is that? That's like if Pierce Brosnan gets cast as the next James Bond. What, you mean the guy who now looks like a slim Santa Claus? And the crazy thing is, some Man United fans want this.
Does speak fluent Dutch, to be fair. Well, we know there won't be any problem understanding Ten Hag, as McClaren speaks fluent Dutch. To be fair, he does speak excellent Dutch.
Fluent Dutch, as if this is some sort of superhuman skill. Has anyone ever been to Holland? The people in Amsterdam speak better English than the lads in Stoke. These people get taught English from the age of 4. Do you really think Steve from Fulford talking slowly, sounding a bit like a constipated Terminator is really going to help? Not to mention, he hasn't lived in Holland in 9 years. If you don't use it, you lose it. Unless McClaren has spent the last few years speaking Dutch to the cat, then I'm pretty sure he'll be rustier than Oscar Pistorius' football boots.
I am here for it. Treble winner, get him in.
I'm sorry, Dwight York is a treble winner. Would you want to stick him up front next season? No, because he's 50 years old, clearly shovels hamburgers into his face 9 times a day, and his only relevancy on TV is when he gets slated on Loose Women.
Won the Eredivisie with SC20 and was assisted in the treble side.
Yeah, that is probably the best possible spin you could put on this. You know, it's a bit like me saying that Harvey Weinstein helped to make The Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I mean, I still wouldn't be inviting the guy to my kid's birthday party. I mean, partly because I don't have a son. I mean, last time I checked, yes, it is still impossible to impregnate a tube of Pringles, but still my point remains. Are we just ignoring all the other disasters in Steve McClaren's life? His career has been one big car crash, so it's quite fitting he was named after a rapid sports car. How embarrassing would a Man United return be for Steve? Returning to Manchester United to work under your former coach? It should be like in 10 years if Jose Mourinho is forced to put out cones in training for a team coached by Andre Villas-Boas. I mean, it's like if Nicole Scherzinger is paid to clean the toilets of those backup dancers off the Pussycat Dolls. Come on, Steve. Ten Hag is someone who you used to make fetch your coffee in 2009, so this would just be embarrassing.
Oh, but Steve McClaren is a world-class assistant coach.
I'm sorry, but no, that is also a myth. Are we forgetting? He was number 2 with Sven-Göran Eriksson with England, and it didn't cross his mind to think that, oh, maybe I should tell Sven to stick Paul Scholes in a defensive midfield role. It doesn't have to be Scholes, anyone. Stick any defensive midfielder between Lampard and Stevie G instead of playing a flat 4-4-2. It was so obvious. And neither Sven or Steve spotted that. This is a man who fails everywhere. Even for the jobs he did get, he was always the wrong choice every single time. I mean, in 2015, Newcastle picked him instead of Patrick Vieira, and oh yeah, Thomas Tuchel. Around the same time where Spain were revolutionizing international football with tiki-taka, England had their chance to design their football on Brazil, but now instead the FA gave a big fat no to Phil Scolari, you know, world champion Scolari, to instead trust the Middlesbrough coach. Wow, just wow. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot. Do not underestimate just how far this man's reputation was on the floor after the England job. I mean, look at another international management failure called Steve Staunton, who was sacked after failing to get Ireland to Euro 2008. Like McClaren, he was also replaced by an experienced Italian winner. There was a lot of parallels, and yeah, Staunton was our McClaren. And his next job in football was some coaching gig with Darlington in League 2. I mean, people forget though, that was also McClaren's next job. He didn't jump straight into the deep end in Holland. No, he also had a brief recovery fling as an assistant coach at the Darlington Arena. From England manager to handing out bibs and ironing corner flags in League 2. England ruined this man. When McClaren was at Old Trafford in 1999, he was working with proper professionals like David Beckham, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, even the Neville brothers. It was a coach's dream. But now, lumber him with Scott McTominay, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire, Steve and Harry at the same club. The only way you should have the words Maguire and McClaren in the same sentence is if you're reporting on the first actor to play Spider-Man driving a supercar into a tree. Ugh. 2 McClaren puns in the same video. Bit sloppy that. I mean, this is a man who was recently rejected for the Sunderland job. With his limp application form, probably very quickly getting fed to the dog. He's a guy who was recently linked with a job at York City. 5 years ago, he was in the running for the gig at Hearts. Yes, Hearts. more like Lonely Hearts Club. And now, he could be about to get offered money by Manchester United. An actual payslip from one of the biggest clubs on planet Earth. He is past it, so washed up. I mean, you don't see Simon Cowell offering a record deal to Vanilla Ice. In football, Steve McClaren is cancelled. So this would be like Shia LaBeouf being cast as the next Batman, or Kevin Spacey getting the role of Wolverine. Just no. I mean, they talk about the new manager bounce. I mean, that's when you should see your best results, right? The moment you step in the front door. I mean, look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Not Steve. In his third match in charge of QPR, he lost 7-1 to West Brom. His 8th match in charge of Newcastle was a 6-1 loss at the Etihad. I mean, he lost his first 4 games in charge of QPR. He lost his first 3 games in charge of Wolfsburg. If Steve McClaren is even caught sitting in the Old Trafford dugout, even just to get a selfie with his mate, then that chair should be immediately doused in bleach, ripped up, and tossed into a skip. Honestly, I would do the same thing if Pennywise the Clown sat on my couch. Just set the whole thing up in flames. Don't even invite McClaren into the building. I mean, if he uses a coffee cup in the canteen, immediately throw the thing in a bin before his DNA winds up in your dishwasher. Do not even let him speak to anyone at the club, honestly. I'm sure he's a nice guy. Seems like a nice guy. But he is a walking football failure. Everything he touches turns to poison. Does that look like the face of someone who should be a Manchester United employee? I mean, letting Steve talk to any staff member at Manchester United, it's like letting your kids chat to the fat old man selling ice cream at the back of his van. No, sorry, little Fred and Angie. Please come back inside. Rightly or wrongly, Steve McClaren is the sports answer to Shrek. And we are all the frightened village people who must keep our distance. This man has not succeeded in a job since 2010. So basically, he hasn't actually done well since the year of Jason Derulo, Scott Pilgrim, and the last 10 minutes of Lost. McClaren at Manchester United. I repeat, is this a joke? Anyway, that's what you think. Alright, let me know in the comment section below. Should Steve McClaren get the Man United job? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. As always, I'll talk to you in a while.